No, I haven't changed. Every day I wake up and I think, oh, it's gonna be bad.
Lucas is joining us.
Yes. Let's see, Zoom. Oh goodness. Trick or treat.
That's what. We're all picked up.
This is when we miss, the landscape of this one, so that.
They would.
Oh, they tried to put, oh, I know, I could.
I keep meetings next time, but.
Oh, so that's a hint.
That
for-
was so.
That's a hint for our friends from Benchmark, huh?
No, I don't even. What? Yeah.
Carol, they went with the cookies.
So it's true.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
Do you prefer Joe or Jeff?
everybody calls him Joe, except my grandmother and.
The question was, which do you prefer?
Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, okay, nice to meet you. Whichever you want, Marco. It's easier to say Joe.
Your preference.
Well.
They asked.
Leave them clean, get them back in, you know.
I woke up in Miami.
I've been saying about how previous legislators.
Wait for a question.
And down is for brother.
Oh.
Now she felt it instead of yesterday.
Yeah. It was hard to open.
Yeah. Shoulder into it.
Yeah, I knew. I think that is. I will wait.
Is there something there? No. Oh, yeah. It feel like they walked away, but really bad.
I think there's some people reviewing the models.
Oh, right.
Yeah, generally.
I have to look around, like, when you're there, if I was really. Isn't here, okay?
They're not paying attention.
That's all right, though, he's like, very good, you know that.
Yeah, I gotta keep it away from my nose.
Good evening, everyone. This is Kate John with Q-Tech Rock.
Hi there.
Thanks for joining in.
Yes, thanks. Hope everybody's ready for the holidays coming up.
A little soft.
No.
Okay, Mike.
Is mine the right way around? Cool. Well, it's high tech stuff, huh? 6 o'clock. Well, I'd like to call this meeting of the Harmony Community Development District to order and start with the roll call. Dan? Joe? Carol? And Lucas is joining us by Zoom, is that correct?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right.
I'll let the record show we've got a full board. I guess we'll start with audience comments. There is a 3-minute time limit on audience comments. Didn't get any requests to speak, but you're certainly welcome. Sure. That way we can hear you. Gotta be really tall. Right?
My name is Barbara Finazzo. I'm a resident of South Lake, and I'm also on the HOA board there. And I have just two things I want to bring up. One of them is Billy's Trail. We've had two residents, one in South Lake and one in East Lake, that have fallen out there. There seems to be all along the trail where the pipes are, some kind of netting. But Billy's Trail is a CDD trail. So can't the CDD do something to reach out to whoever that entity is?
We can, Kate can, well, actually, this isn't back and forth, but we can address it.
Okay, that's all. I just would like to see something done. One person, she wrote me this letter and she wanted you guys to have it. So I'll leave it with you, but she got hurt. And then the second one is, I've been working or communicating with the planning board at the county level about the potential development, specifically of the two lots that are between East and North Lake. And they had a permit application in to do a minor amendment to the PD for Harmony to allow for a multi-story garage. Basically what they were requesting from the developer was more definition of what that means, since it's not clear. That has been approved. So my concern is that they're going to start moving forward, and we would like to ask the CDD to be more active in communicating about what kind of construction is going to go on here. And I know that you may not be able to do as much as we all would like, but I think we all have a voice. I believe at the last CDD meeting, you brought that up, that we shouldn't just roll over and let them build apartment buildings. I'm asking as a resident and as a member of an HOA that you guys keep on top of it and give us feedback. We will do it as residents. We've already reached out as residents to Ricky Booth's office, and I'm committed to working and getting more information from the county as it goes along. Right now, I don't see anything out there on their website, but I think we all need to be a community and a village. On this
Where
one.
exactly is this?
Right over here. They want to build, it's a piece of property that goes down to Cat Lake. There's a white fence there where they do the wedding pictures. That's part of the commercial entity that owns the clubhouse. And they had an article in a paper about putting 5 apartment buildings, 168 units in there with a multi-story garage.
And that's the location that was originally North Lake?
It was originally, if you go back and look at some old papers, I believe it was supposed to be a dog park. And it never became a dog park.
And in recent years, they started assessing it. Like you go back far enough, it wasn't even assessed as developable property.
But it got sold along with the property when the clubhouse went.
What are we talking about?
There's 12 acres, 2 lots back there, 2 parcels. It has only one entrance onto a circle on 5 Oaks. It's a traffic nightmare. And the backside of it is Cat Lake. Right.
Well, I think the point that I made last month is basically we need to make it clear to builders that if they build something on the CDD's property, that doesn't mean they have carte blanche, that we're actually going to accept the plat. So I've got another thing later on in the council's report I wanted to talk to about that as well, that builders need to understand that we have a good deal of power and authority over what goes inside these dotted lines. And we intend to wield that.
Okay, thank you. That's all. I like that. Thank you very much.
Are you gonna go ahead?
Yes,
Go ahead, I'll bet you.
okay. I'll be quick. Yes. My name is Clifford McIntosh. I live at 7504 Castlewood Court in East Lakes. I guess, I missed the last meeting, but I was wanting to know the update on the Five Oaks Road where it floods at when it rains. I just wanted to know an update and what can be done. Yes. Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm Mary Jane Sledge, 3181 Songbird Circle, East Lake, 55+ community. First, I want to thank everybody. I see the front entrance is finally coming. The signs are coming off that have no bearing on what Harmony is any longer, so I appreciate that. And I also wanted to, I hadn't seen anything in the minutes of what the plan is for that tower, if there is a plan or if it's just all going to be taken off. So I know there's no back and forth, but hopefully that is going to be addressed. My second thing is in regards to the future development. I want to echo what my friend colleague here has said, but I also want to say about the conservation land, and I'm very appreciative of what you said, because recently we have seen 2 bald eagle sightings, so that also has to play into it. I live on the conservation land by East Lake, right behind where they're planning on doing the building. So that was another thing. And that last thing is about the traffic study. I have been talking about a traffic study now, probably 6 months. I can go back to the minutes. And I did read the last minutes in regards to it, about what needs to be done. I did speak 6 months ago about what needs to be done because I spoke to the county and I talked to them again for 5 minutes and got all the answers of what needs to be done, but they definitely said it has to be the CDD. They said all we had to do is do the application. They gave me a direct number of the person and said, once we do the application, they will do the traffic study. And then the HOAs can help if they deem it that it needs stop signs or bumps, because it is a highway. 2 more people have almost gotten hit that are in the 55+ community. And if they're talking about additional development, I think we need to do the traffic study sooner rather than later.
Can I have the name of the person who told you that the
Yep.
CDD should be involved in this?
Yep, his name is Henry. I have his phone number,
I'll take that.
407 742 0545. And he indicated because there's multiple
What's his last
HOAs.
name?
He didn't give me a last name. He just said Henry and he gave me
And he's with what department?
the traffic and transportation, transit and transportation department. And he indicated because when I told him about our situation, that was multiple HOAs, he said because it runs through all the HOAs, it would have to come from the CDD.
I think he's wrong, but
Okay, and I know we've talked at our HOA meetings that we would have no problem if once they do the traffic study and says we need to have petitions, we would have no problem speaking with our HOAs about doing it because he said it would need a 60% approval if that's what they're recommending. But we need to do a traffic study to see what the recommendation is.
So we discussed this at previous meetings. If we probably didn't have time to look at the November minutes in detail, we can discuss this, and our district manager is going to report on what they found when they were supposed to have done some research.
Okay. We don't have a timeline though, right? Okay, thank you.
Well, actually, I think my issue is an HOA issue, so okay. My name is Brianne Blame, 3216 Oxford Court. Would it be the HOA that I would go to if there were like cars overnight? I know the cars are supposed to be on the.
Cars there?
They're on the street. I think they're supposed to be on the.
What community?
Enclave.
That's an HOA.
Oh, okay, sorry. That's what I was thinking when I was sitting down, but thank you, sorry for your
Thanks
time.
for coming.
thank you.
My name is Marilyn Ashmore and I live at 6852 Butterfly Drive. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Harmony Community Garden. I've been looking after it for 13 years and up until Jorge came on board. We had absolutely no help except from the gardeners themselves. And I'm going to brag about Jorge today because someone tried to get into the electrical box and it had a gap wide open. He took care of that immediately. The bee situation, I gave him 5 names. None of those people would come out. He did get someone. He came out, he explained everything. He told us all what had to be done. And the schoolhouse where it was hidden, we have taken down because first of all, it needed a lot of repairs and nobody was using it. So his crew and he took it down, cleaned it all up beautifully. We had a stump for trees. He cleaned that off, carried all this brush away. And he's just been absolutely fantastic in helping us. So I hope he sticks around because we certainly appreciate his help. We haven't had any for 13 years. So I just want to brag today. So, but thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
You're good too.
Does anybody who's joined us via Zoom have any comments? I never put myself.
Hey guys, it's Lucas. I have a pass on request from one of my neighbors. His name's Jerry Mick. He lives on 3449 Middlebrook Place. So there's a pond behind his house on the street behind the 12th hole where the grass has grown up around the pond where you can't see it at all, similar to the other ponds that we've taken care of. He's reached out to Mike, the supervisor of the golf course, and they've said it's not their responsibility. They were looking into the CDD board to see if we could take care of that, like the other ponds. So just want to bring that up on his behalf. I'll also bring it up on the supervisor request at the end, but I just want to kind of give you a heads up on that.
Any other comments? Any other people want to make a comment? Hearing none, we shall move on to the meeting. I'd like to start by just making a brief statement about my chairmanship. It was asked at the last meeting what kind of chairman I would be. And after some thought, my answer was more like Bob Evans, who most of you probably have no clue who I'm talking about. Bob was actually the last CDD chairman appointed by the developer. Unlike Bob, I do promise to actually read all the material before meetings so that I am fully prepared. But what I like about Bob and my comments earlier about going off track, going the wrong direction. I actually think that started with Steve many, many years ago. I have actually discussed this with our lawyer and his view of how a CDD should work. And very much my leadership is going to be based upon trying to get this body back to a supervisory group and not a management group. I think, going back for whatever reason, personalities, frequently we see little things that concern us, and rather than go to our management company, who are the ones who we hire and pay to fix and solve these things, we try and get involved ourselves and try and manage staff by this body. And that's absolutely not what this body is entitled to do. I frequently thought, sitting when Steve was in control, that we were doing things that actually were not spelled out in chapter 190. So I simply want to make the statement, I want this to be a supervisory group that does policy. Okay, that votes on important things, and not a group which gets into minutia of day-to-day management of the operation, because that's actually not what the law says we're supposed to be doing. And so that comment, let us move along. So in answer to the question of what kind of chairman do I want to be? Let's see. We're going to start with landscaping. That's Benchmark.
Hello.
Hello.
Nick Lomasny with Benchmark Landscaping. And I'll just go over our report. So historically, December's been like a detail month. So we started cutting back the grass plants off the sidewalks, raising some of the branches that's ongoing. And the sycamore leaves, we've been picking them up daily as they're falling very heavy. And we're a couple of the palm trees as well. And the jasmine on the hill by the school entrance, we've been cleaning up. Edging on the beds, we're trying to stay off the turf as much. We're trying to maintain 4 inches. When we do go on it, we try to get all the leaves off of it. So maintenance wise, that nothing really has changed in that area. That's what's ongoing. Irrigation, we're almost at a just a maintenance spot as far as just fixing the sprinklers. We got a broken pipe on Catbrier right now. Been fixed twice, and every 2 feet it breaks again. So we're gonna have to replace a section. It's just due to a mess of roots. So I'm just gonna go above it. That would be the only thing we got going on as far as irrigation. We have a rainbird sensor going to be going in the next few days at the Triangle Park. It has a new timer. The B program has switched, and that was done months ago. I did check again, so it's running on a normal routine schedule. Yes, the triangle, yeah. So it just needs a rainbird sensor. That was just missed because that was an emergency repair. So we're just gonna put one on, and it won't be going off sporadically anymore. And and the 2 parks, the Harmony Square and the Buck Lake, will be done in January. The enhancements that we had talked about, I can communicate with you as they start. I want to start in Harmony Square. The goal is to do them both at the same time, or back to back, but we'll start in Harmony Square. That has been removed and the stump has been grounded out. There was no problem to the statue. It was a relatively easy thing. They hauled it off. There's no problems. I checked it afterwards.
And I checked with the lady on.
Yep, bucket watering it as we speak. Probably 5 to 10 gallons a day. When we had that rain a couple of days ago, I skipped it, and over the weekend I even monitored it. But yeah, it seems to be doing fine. But on that road, on my way, I was leaving, and a couple of the neighbors had stopped me. There was a tree stump, probably 4 feet in the air, about this big around, and it is such an eyesore. And I know it's a CBD thing, so I was gonna propose. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yes, I was gonna propose for that when we give an estimate for a couple of the dead trees, if they can go ahead and cut that and ground that out. To have that fixed as well. Cause it is almost a safety. It's like eye level for a kid on the bike. So I just stopped and photographed it. That's all I have to report on. Is there any questions? I'm waiting on one section when they bring in for the projects for the 2 parks. I'm gonna have them do that after. We went ahead and cut the grasses back throughout the property. And I thought it made most sense to, after the big cutback, so there's no mess, it'll look fresh in the areas. I didn't want it to look dirty right after we had just installed it. So that was my call last minute.
I have one landscaping question. I was approached by a resident who says we have a terrible tree mold problem. And that the leaves fall and they cause damage to plants on the ground. I actually did go and look at a couple of houses that she said were good examples. My observation was it didn't look like the leaves had actually been raked for a couple of years. So that was my first suggestion to her. But I did promise that I would bring up at this meeting, you know, is there a specific problem with tree mold? I mean, I realize, I did enough research to realize it's a fungus called city mold. That gets on all the trees.
The sycamore trees, correct?
Actually, it's all over the live oaks.
So.
No, every oak.
So earlier, I would say 2 months ago, we had a problem with the sycamore trees and we had 150 of them treated. They were just completed last month. Now, whatever was on them could have airborne and it could have got on some other trees. If you would like, we can provide an estimate for the sick oak trees as well. But we did just treat
Oh,
one.
but are they sick?
I would have my guy come and evaluate that for ourselves before we
Yeah.
ask for, you know.
Well, that would be useful. I mean, those of you who know me know that my wife is one of the better gardeners in town, and she took a look as well and didn't really see a problem. So
And almost any mold, if it's left on the ground in those conditions.
all right, but yeah, if you take a look at that, that'd be wonderful.
I'll have answers for you on our next meeting on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for me?
No, thank you very much.
All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Yep.
You need help opening the door?
No.
Next, we have our field manager in for Mark. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Is he coming back? Otherwise, we'll just skip ahead. Oh, I can understand that. And yeah, we just did that to embarrass you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jorge. I'm the CBD field service supervisor. Give me 1 second. Okay, we finished with the Cadbrier sidewalk. We're gonna start in the curb next week. We are working the PVC fence by pressure washing the PVC fence at 5 Oaks. And we will start next month with the benches. We're gonna repaint the bench. And we finished with we pressure wash the east tower, remove the signs and paint the empty sections. And we did the roof too, we pressure wash it. We put the volleyball net is now on. The complete control access came and update the boxes for the gates from the swing club, Buck Lake, and Ashley. So now we can program the cards from the same office. We don't have to go to every section to program. We fill the potholes and dog parks and the playgrounds in the swings. And we removed help removing the bees at the garden. And we moved some of the stones in the drive into the garden. And the next day,
a person came and was driving fast and doing donuts in the area and damaged some areas. So I'm gonna start looking tomorrow on this next week if for a quote to get some stones and fill those sections back. You have any questions of the field report or? Yeah, we did.
You done with the East Tower at this point, or is there more to do?
We had to fix one section because it had a hole and it when we pressure washer, the stucco came out, so we removed the broken stucco and we put the new one. We just have to paint that section tomorrow. We're gonna finish that section.
Tell me about the signs, are they written curves?
The we're gonna look for a company to check the splash pad again because a motor still have to be replaced. They have to check the computer is not like sending the. You wanna add something to it?
So we came out and we spent, Officer Kerry Satterwhite, Director of Field Operations for Infomart, so I think they can probably bring in my voice to Kerry stuff, so. We came out and we spent, I don't know, an hour or so there the one day. Without the contractor, we have reached out and I don't know them very well. I don't have a lot of confidence in them. We're not getting a response from them. Actually met with the staff at Disney this week to see who takes care of theirs. I thought I'd have a recommendation tonight for another contractor to look at it. But we ran it, pumps ran. There is an issue with the sequencer. All of the valves, they're solenoid actuated valves that were all opening and closing, everything was, but there's not enough pressure. Which tells me at some point, one of those should be closing, so you should get enough pressure, but we sat there and we watched them cycle through, everything worked. You can run 100+ programs in there. Neither one of us knows how to program that controller. I was trying to get more knowledge about that. So I think the one thing we wanted to do is meet the current vendor on site, kind of have them walk us through it to see if there's an issue. When we looked at it, there's an LCD screen on there and it was flashing and we couldn't read what it was saying. So it does work, but I think there's an issue with that. The motor that you mentioned, it heated up pretty quickly. So that should probably also be evaluated.
I think it's the new motors. I mean, motors.
Well, I know we're almost one of them. I don't know
Yeah.
how many in there. Is that the new one?
Yeah, there's a new one and that one's working
more than
good.
one.
The other one is making,
Yeah, you can
Noise,
hear it
yeah.
when as soon as it starts, you can hear it.
yeah, the bearings. So,
Is it the same as the new one?
no, it's a little bit smaller than the,
So it does something else than the one we replaced?
I don't know, have to check with the,
Yeah, okay.
But the next step is to get the contract.
Correct. Yeah, I would bring the existing contractor out and I'd like to have someone else come in and look at it.
We had a resident who was skilled in mechanical and some plumbing, engineering, and he said that there looked like there wasn't enough water pressure.
Yes. I think there's probably enough line pressure and if the valves would close properly, you'd probably get it to work, but something's wrong in the sequencing.
Yeah, something that the valves aren't closing.
Yes.
So that what he's doing to provide enough pressure for the water to do it. Thank you.
Now, in the last couple of months, we had some back and forth with PFS and, talking of having, they already had someone come out with, were they able to meet with you and some other field service staff? And like, did that happen
With-
or we?
with Brad?
Again? or
Yeah.
what's-
I think he left because he wasn't, he didn't went inside the box
Right.
to check. Brad was inside explain to him, but he said, I'm doing nothing, so.
No,
it's
I
okay.
think that was the resident that you had assist
Yeah.
us. I don't believe the contractor's been on staff with us. not
No,
with
no, no,
me.
no. I never meet, I think they came in after the Thanksgiving day
Right.
and all of us were off that day.
Okay, so we just need to.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
get the calendar straight, okay,
Hmm. Yeah, I never meet with them.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, one more thing about the sign. We had, I believe, the direction was, we had only asked for the side facing the highway to be changed, right? So the sides north and, east and west are still.
Yeah,
as
they
is.
still are.
So, okay, I'm
Mhm,
sure we'll
yeah.
discuss later on if we, how it looks and how we want to proceed with the rest of the sign. All right, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I think it looks great.
Thank you.
District engineer.
Good evening, everyone. David Hamstra, District Engineer. Besides the 3 things in the agenda, I have 7 other things to quickly go over that were discussed in prior meetings. First and foremost is the revised Lake Shore Park Community Maintenance Facility. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at the revised site plan. If not, I'll unfold it on the table and I'll try not to make a mess of your microphone. Dan. I also brought smaller versions to hand out when I'm done. If you want to take them back, look over Christmas holiday, anything else to do. So for those who are listening, I'll try to do best to describe it. There's a concrete pad.
Well, probably shouldn't cover the mic.
There's a concrete pad that's close to the gravel parking lots by the park. That was the original location of the. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just, I had a question for when you were done talking about it, whether we need to demolish it and remove it or not. Can we just leave it there?
It's cracked and broken. I'm not sure if there's a use for it other than just have a slab there, but it was planned to be taken out. But the plan was when we last met is whether or not we move the building further east, try to get away from the pedestrian path that goes to the park. We looked at the contours, the topography, look at the distance from the fire hydrant to the new building, because you have to be 500 feet or less to meet the fire code. And we decided to avoid a lot of earthwork to actually relocate it behind the parking lot, kind of use the pavilion as somewhat of a screening device.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So it's a lot flatter here. I don't have to bring in dirt. I don't have to regrade it. After this, it kind of drops a couple feet from the edge of the pavement towards the back. So we end up moving it back here. Still have sufficient distance from the fire hydrant for fire protection. We added a water service connection in case you want to have a couple of hose bibs out there to wash things down and clean at the end of the day. We did not run sewer to it because as far as I know, we're not putting a restroom into the size of the facility. Jorge and the staff will still have to use the public restroom by the park. We went with a larger footprint building with the idea that maybe one day it'll be picked up and moved to a different location. So that's the larger footprints we talked about. We provided an additional sidewalk, stabilized area for Jorge and his guys to take the, what do you call it, the cart path, the different tractor device. I'm going blank on the different machinery you have out there, but the grass doesn't get rutted over time because it gets wet out there. With all the modifications, we revised the cost estimate, and it's currently roughly $142,000. So based on the direction we get tonight or feedback, the revised site development plans that goes to the county is ready to go in, depending on what we get from the feedback today from the board. I'm making any tweaks so we can get this to the county in front of them and get the clock started on getting their comments on either landscaping, screening, things they may have a say so on, so.
You have, I think you had a fence in the estimate and a fence gate in the estimate. I wasn't clear on exactly where the fence would be located.
So we're putting a fence around the garbage, the container, with a screen device, which is one of the county's requests to make sure that's somewhat shielded. I gotta go with Greg if you put a fence around the building as well. I don't think so. I think the fence is primarily around the screen and the gate with the dumpster pad.
Well, we would certainly need a fence around the building.
If he might have it included, I have to look at the blow up site plan.
Around the lean-to maybe?
And maybe around the lane too. Yes, not the building itself. Yeah, I got you on the back side of it's correct. So back here, not around the building.
And is the fence gonna have screening in it? Is
It-
that what the plan is?
It does for this one, and he may have it also for the one too, to kind of hide whenever we park behind the fence. If we have a detail.
And then the only access is just on that north side there?
The parking's here for the employees who
Right.
wants to go, we extend the sidewalk
Right,
in front of the building and up to one of the garage door openings.
right, but there is no access vehicle-wise to the lean-to.
No,
It has to go through a man, whatever's in there has
That's
to,
correct.
yeah, has to go around that way, but not by vehicle. Is that correct?
well, if they want to drive it back there, we didn't want to add too much pavement. What is the green, the gators, that's what I'm thinking of, the green gators that you use to put the small, they're not that heavy to maybe warrant full concrete, but we didn't want to, this was supposed to be more pedestrian. If we make it wider, we could to provide additional coverage for the equipment that goes back and forth every day.
Well, were we going to park some vehicles in that building?
In the garage, that's why we put the reinforced area outside the garage door.
Right, but then how are they entering? Are they driving on the pedestrian walkway?
Yeah, it's concrete slab. It's not meant for a vehicle, but it will take care of the car path and the gator. It's not a pickup truck. We don't plan on putting a pickup truck or anything back there. Unless you are, you gotta tell me now, but, it was meant to be the cart path, the golf carts and the gator.
We got one CDD truck here.
But you're not gonna park it. You're not gonna park in the
Right, there's a
building.
parking lot there, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean overnight the CDD truck is gonna be parked in the parking lot? Where is the CDD truck parked now at night?
Sometimes in the next to the garden and sometimes next to the Ashley parking.
Well, that's because you have an office there, right? Yeah, I'm just concerned about the truck being out in that parking lot all night because of people doing things that they shouldn't.
Well, they could still do those things where it's parked now.
Yes, that's true, but there's, at least by the Ashley Park pool, there's more visibility. Not so much by the garden. There. Okay, but so that, that walkway is wide enough for the carts to drive on without rubbing the grass next to it?
It'll be wide enough for the golf carts and probably the gator. I'll get the wheelbase from, or if we have to go to an extra foot or two, we will.
And is the county gonna say that we need landscaping around the south and east side of the lean-to?
We put a line item in the cost estimate for a landscape allowance, depending what they come back with on spacing of trees and height of trees.
Right, I saw that, but it's not on this, maybe it's on another, the next drawing. Or the one before it. I did see some landscaping.
Here, then the wall.
Oh, yeah. But not around the back, only around
The part that the public would see from the street or from the. corner.
well, anybody who's coming from Oak Glen Trail would be able to see it, no? Maybe not, I don't know.
So first of all, is the group content with, instead of going further here, to put it up here, what's shown?
Seems to make more sense to me.
No, I liked it as soon as I saw it.
Okay.
Dan, Joe?
Yeah, my thought is, again, like you said earlier, just making sure that, do we maybe need, paved access to the lean-to for, keeping any, larger, heavier things stored back there? Maybe it doesn't need to be, fully paved, maybe just, graded, I don't know if that, right. If that would, how much that interferes with the grade that's already there and everything.
It's nice and flat, so it's good. Yeah.
And, I thought that the truck was going to be parked in the building overnight.
It was my understanding that the
Yeah.
pickup truck was not going in the building.
So then were we talking about having a fence around it and the truck being inside the fence before, or did I misunderstand?
We had talked about the truck being inside the building, but I don't know if that. is
I think the
something-
building would need to be significantly larger from that.
Mm.
I mean, how many of the smaller vehicles do we have?
Or here we have 2 golf carts, 1 gator.
Yeah.
And that's
tractor.
and 1 tractor.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's not enough.
The
room for
building is
the-
getting bigger and bigger.
So with the truck, does one of the field services drive to Harmony and then use that truck during the day, and then when they go home, they go back to their own vehicle?
Yeah.
With the truck, so they could park the truck overnight, it doesn't have to be there,
Could be in the parking lot right there. but-
Right.
Okay, yeah.
or it could be in Ashley Park, or,
You could remain where it is.
yeah, okay. I mean, we're seeing lots of vandalism now, so, the truck is pretty expensive item.
Technically, there's an OSHA requirement that says we must have running water and bathrooms where they report to work.
Well, that was, I think there should be a bathroom, but I got outvoted, so.
Well, that's why we would use Ashley as a place to report. You can still use that area. We're just saying, no, to report to that building.
Oh, it actually parking, okay, okay.
What would it cost to, I mean, I see the sewer lines are already there, right? You're only talking a short distance to run a sewer line there?
Well, my understanding is the footprint or the floor plan of this building is literally just a big storage area.
Okay.
Whether or not we're gonna carve out a smaller area to convert it to a bathroom or mini office, I'll need to get back to the manufacturer of this building to see what options they have and cost.
No, but we have that in Ashley Park now?
Yes.
And there's a bathroom, of course, right across from there at the.
So we have a little office in Ashley Park.
Yes,
Okay.
and there's the bathroom right
And
there.
is that working out well at Ashley Park?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
All right, so I'll check on the width of the concrete, to make sure it accommodates his equipment. We'll extend it to the back of the lean-to area. In general, the location seems to be a plus for everybody. If you're good, we'll at least get the county's review process underway. So, related to that, we officially withdrew the application that we submitted last year for the RV storage lot that was going to have the storage building there. That's been officially withdrawn, and the county acknowledged that's a closed item. Speaking about the county, they did confirm a building permit would be required for the Garden Road storage facility. So whenever the manufacturer comes to terms with the agreement with Mr. Eckhart, they will be the one that's required to pull a building permit before they build it. So
The contractor.
the contractor. Yep. All right, so that's all things related to the maintenance facility.
And we don't anticipate any issues with that, part of the issue that started this whole thing was we had a fencing permit that we had to get back there, and that was, kind of revealed all these issues and everything. Understanding that we haven't done anything more to, upgrade that road, do we anticipate there being any more issues? I guess?
We told them it was strictly a storage shed for garden equipment and nothing more than that, so. But because of the size, there's a building permit required, so. All right, so that takes care of that. The next thing was brought up in the last meeting was the control structures along the Buck Lake wooded area, but then I need to pull the next map.
Again, my apologies for missing that.
Well, you're not showing up, allow me to look at the other stuff, so we'll go. So. There were some comments at the last meeting. Again, I feel sorry for those who can't say everything. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 control structures that control all the lakes along the Buck Lake Conservation Area. That some of them look like they weren't quite working right. So that same day, I did look at all of them. Each one has a slight maintenance need. This one that you see here is that structure. The way these were designed is as the lakes fill up, they go through the pipe, they go up the structure like a chimney, reverse, and they go out in sheet flow across the wooded area.
When you say lakes, what do you mean?
The ponds.
You mean the retention
The
ponds?
stormwater ponds. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Back before it goes to Buck Lake.
okay, don't
So-
say lakes.
As the man-made water bodies and ponds go up. And they go through these, what I call orifices.
Yep.
So this one's working fine. I just simply asked, oh, hey, we're gonna look at this tomorrow morning at 9. Some of this stuff they kind of be cleaned out, but this one's working good. So this one's in good shape. This is the one I think that was reported last meeting.
Yeah.
That it's not working.
Right.
And it's not. The way it was designed and constructed, this water is not getting to Buck Lake. The ground goes back up again
Yeah, you
before it
should-
drops off.
You should look at it this way, just so that we're,
And there's another picture of me standing at the structure, looking towards Buck Lake. So you see either high ground between where the water wants to flow to get to Buck Lake.
this was the water.
I
this
can't
was-
simply just dredge something because I got to make sure the actual conservation area doesn't have its own high area. So again, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, I'm meeting Infomark. We're going to look at these and talk about which areas and things they can fix themselves, or which ones we're going to use the small contractor to do some of this grading and drainage type work.
Last time you said this was like a bubble up, is it, but it's a control. structure?
I
Is it
call
the
these
same
bubble up
thing?
structures, meaning the water comes out the top
Right,
and then she flows towards.
as opposed to this.
This
which
is the bubble up as well.
Okay.
Once the big storm comes, these orifices get submerged and it does come to the top of this grade and works itself towards the lake. So this one looks good. It's working well. The water actually, I chased it down, gets to the lake. This one does not. So I'm getting a survey proposal to survey from the structure to the lake to see what kind of ridge we have to get through.
And which
Because-
one is that?
That one is right here.
So when
So
you,
these
Gotcha.
two control this larger one that's got the 2 bridges they cross.
Okay.
You're welcome. Ben. So it's these two that control this big. pond.
And the other two?
So that one. This one is over here. Actually looks pretty good. Well maintained. It appears it'll get to the lake when needed. So that one's okay. But this one is 2 side-by-side structures. First of all, the grate is falling into the structure, so it's a safety issue. All I need is one kid to go out back there and goof around. He's gonna go into that structure and maybe not get out. So they're quite heavy. They're cast iron. They weigh a couple 100 pounds. We're gonna go out there again tomorrow and talk about it, whether they need a small boom to reach them, grab them and pull them back up again. But besides that, the area has just been taken over. It's been sprayed, but I gotta get that vegetation out of there so it doesn't get stuck in the inlets and clog them up. So again, that's another thing we're gonna look at for these over here. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4 control structures that we looked at. I looked at on Sunday that I'll meet with Intermark out tomorrow.
is it the backside of the pond that leads into the estates on the left side, if they're going into the estates?
This one is, yeah. So that's the update in the control structure.
Thank you.
Last meeting. I brought to your attention that the golf course had dumped a bunch of debris at the end of the driving range. I think with the change in staff, I'm not sure if anybody talked to the golf course, but Catherine Bowman, who's your wetland scientist, was out there recently. It's got worse. They're actually pushing more stuff into the wetland. So whether it's myself or Carrie or whoever wants to, we gotta talk to the golf course, A, to stop it, and B, they need to get all that stuff out of there. Because it's actually in the conservation area that we have to report on and maintain and operate. So I guess we'll draw straws for about, let's find out who wants to make the meeting with the golf course. And, on that same note, at the golf course, there's a circular round Cypress Bay head that is the old world climbing firm is taking over quickly. And Kenther wants to make sure we eradicate that before it jumps again and starts infecting the stuff that you have spent a lot of money on keeping in control. She did say Brad's doing a great job for a one-man operation. She was very pleased in the vast majority of the wetlands, but she's really concerned that we don't get on this one quickly and get rid of this other stuff that, you know, it may be a problem back in the summertime again. So again, I'll talk to the guys tomorrow when we meet at 9 o'clock. This golf course, control structures, maintenance facility. Cattails, you had Solitude go out there and do the cattail removal program on 5 ponds within the golf course. Those primarily being this area of Harmony. I went out there after the work was done. I thought he left a lot of debris in place. I reached out to a guy named Alan Wilson with Solitude. And between myself and Lynn, we got them to go back out there, remove all the stuff they cut, and they retreated it again at no cost, nor they should have anyways, but it got taken care of, so it looks a lot better. I think what's on the agenda for later under the district manager's report is whether we have Solitude do a quarterly maintenance program, so it doesn't get out of control like it did before, and whether or not we bring other ponds into the equation, which we'll talk about later in the discussion. All right, 5 Oaks Drive and Cat Briar Trail are the 2 drainage systems we looked at 2 meetings ago. And before we spend a whole lot of money ripping up pipes and making them bigger, we want to make sure that that's not something obvious, like the pipe going to the lake is not blocked, or the pipes themselves have root intrusion or other damage. So before I have Atlantic Pipe Services come out here, they need to have the pipe clear at the end so they can plug it, dewater it, and run the camera through there. So I went out to the pond for 5 Oaks Trail and the one for Cat Briar. Both pipes like to be partially or totally full of sediments and dirt. So again, tomorrow with the Infomart gang, we're going to look at those. If they're not comfortable doing dredging, because it's a wet area that needs special equipment, you'll hear the word PJ, which is used with Element Environmental. I use them for all small stuff for CDDs, and I'll get them to give us a proposal next meeting. If when I talk to the Infomart group tomorrow, they're not comfortable doing that type of work. So we think the majority of the problem is the pipes are partially or totally submerged with dirt and sediment. So when it does rain, it doesn't have the opening like it should to get the water out quickly. And so we're going to do that first. Then the camera work, I think we'll watch it for the summertime. I think it'll make a big improvement. So thank you. As far as the exhibits go, Osceola County just came out this week with the 2023 aerials. So you may notice on here, we now have the new subdivision that's been built out, the enclave, and then the clearing of the last piece, which is the north end of the area. I've updated all the exhibits. I'll give you a PDF to give to all the board members. If you want full-size plots, just let me know and I'll bring it to the next meeting. But we updated the landscape map, the maintenance map, and the drainage maps of the 2023 aerial maps. You can see some of the construction going on to your neighbors to the east and west. And so they'll be bigger and better, and I'll provide PDF copies again. If you want plots, please let me know. I'll plot them and bring them to the board members who like to have them for their information. All right, as far as the conservation areas, Catherine Bowman will be issuing a monitoring report fairly soon on the conditions and the percent of the old world climbing firm being eradicated. She was very optimistic and encouraged that, again, Brad with Infomark has been doing a good job kind of doing the best he can, staying on top of it. Again, the concern is the golf course, which we'll talk about tomorrow in our field. I think that covers everything. If I'm missing any, oh, the last thing is the alleyways. Sorry. So when the alleyways are under construction, and it was obvious that Waste Pro is going off the road, breaking up the new concrete, ribbon curbs I had suggested putting boulders out there, landscape boulders to keep the trucks, at least think twice about going off the edge of the road and into the area and break up the curves. That's where we last left it. Then I've been hearing the last couple of weeks whether there's gonna be signs or markers. And so I just want to get some direction from the board, now that we have the chairman, new board members. Are we going back to the boulders? Are we going back to the, what I would call reflective posts that I saw this evening when we drove around, which is a 4-foot tall painted yellow pole that's stuck in the ground? Or
Are we talking about 3218 Blazing Star?
we're looking at all this area that just got repaved.
The street thing.
No, we're not yet talking about Blazing Star.
Okay,
We're talking about even,
our neighborhoods.
Yes, yeah. So there's that ribbon curb, when you come in, from Pond Pine, Primrose Willow. There's, by Cherry and Dan's house, there's that concrete white colored ribbon curb.
Mhm.
And they're breaking that up. The Blazing Star one is a similar issue, but they haven't had a ribbon curb. But I went down Blazing Star. I'm looking for the,
Or the
So-
pictures you took, the really bad areas, is that the area they're talking about?
Blazing Star.
Yeah, that was the one I asked,
Yeah.
Infomark to take a look at.
So the question is, on those areas, do you plan on putting additional pavements? Or putting the markers there to keep them off that area? Do you want to ask Waste Pro to use a residential friendly garbage truck, not the large trucks that seem to be going off the road? I heard from Jorge, they are actually driving the smaller trucks, but they're even probably more careless than they are with the bigger trucks. So,
So for several months, we've been talking about putting there, apparently Teresa nixed the idea of the landscape boulders and wanted to go with signs. The signs
Oh,
were
well.
ordered, they were not put up.
Teresa's one person and takes 5 votes to make a decision.
Yes.
Now, me personally, when I saw that on Facebook, my initial response was just put a big rock there.
Well,
know?
that's what the original plan was.
Well,
and
then
it
you just
was-
have to shout down the chairman if she goes off the rails.
the ballards. So I'm okay with them. They're not as
Just pass it around.
landscape friendly. I like the boulders instead personally, but
Yeah, boulders are nice and natural
yeah,
looking.
looking with the grass and the trees. That looks like a Walmart parking lot, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not attractive
No.
and they're rusted.
Yep.
But I think
They work,
they work,
but-
yeah.
So it was a big boulder, so. The board did approve 5-0 to do the boulders originally. I don't know what took place. Behind these scenes, I'm not gonna speculate, but here
Yes.
we are, fast forward a couple months later. And if the board wants to go back to the boulders,
8 months later.
8 months, I'll get back with Infomark
Excuse me.
boulders.
The board voted 8 months ago to put boulders in and we haven't done it yet?
Yes.
And why is
No,
this?
no, I'm sorry. It was probably.
It was a one-
It was probably 6 or 7 months. ago.
Okay, and so why are we sitting here 6 or 7 months later still talking about
Because-
boulders?
Because signs were gonna be put up, the board kind of said, okay, to the signs were supposed to be put up in September, October, November. They're not. they're still
This
not.
place is sign crazy. We need to have fewer signs and more practical solutions.
I get the consensus as the boulders, go back to the boulders.
Absolutely. If,
Fine with
if
me.
we already voted on it,
I cannot remember what
Yeah,
transpired.
So what happened was we voted on boulders. Then it was Jason, he sent me some photographs of boulders saying which size, but there was no indication in the photographs of what size the boulder was. I didn't know if it was big as an iPad or as big as, the couch, like, there was no indication. There was nothing next to it to tell me what size it was. And I said, here's the purpose. The purpose is to prevent
Yes.
ribbon curves. We're talking about boulders now,
boulders.
Jorge, boulders,
So no signs.
big stone, big rocks, rocks.
Yeah.
So I actually had sent Jason, I think it's called Pebble Junction is one.
Yes.
And there's another one, I don't know if Evers Wood Products has boulders, they're right in St. Cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
we've been using
So
it.
they just need to be big enough to have somebody who's driving a garbage truck not want to hit it.
I have a basic question. Why do we need ribbon curbs?
What happens over time, Joe, when on asphalt, when the cars go off the edge of it a little bit, it'll start to crumble. And then when it starts crumbling, it starts breaking off in pieces. The concrete ribbon curb kind of provides a level of protection. We don't do it in the straightaway, so hopefully you can keep your car in the straightaway. But for people that are careless on curves, that tire coming off the edge over time just starts to deteriorate and makes a mess out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the ribbon curb helps maintain the pavement and it doesn't crumble like the pavement does.
Okay.
But
Can we put a temporary, can we put a ribbon curb at 3218 Blazing Star?
is that the one that John Parrish and Stacy Graham were?
Yeah, that's the one
talking
they
about on Facebook?
just showed me a
Yeah.
picture of.
So
Or tomorrow.
no, that needs, I don't know if we can put a ribbon curb there or if there's, or repaving is needed, because I think the pavement is actually destroyed at the
Well,
edge of that curve.
we just need to have the experts tell us,
I'll look
which
at it
is,
tomorrow.
which is the question I put to you guys.
We'll look at it tomorrow then. Unless there's any other questions, the board, that's all I have for this evening.
Anybody else have any comments?
Well, do we need to have a motion to go back to the boulders or?
No, because
No,
we
'cause-
already
Okay.
voted on them. Hold on, I'm just checking my notes here. See if there's anything else for David. No, I think we're good.
Oh, you'll see later on the agenda, I have the lakefront parking lots.
We can do that now.
We can do that now. So I thought whether or not you would consider while you're doing the community center. All the times I'm out there and I see the moms and the dads and the kids getting out and putting all that lime rock into their car and it's a mess and it gets dusty. If there's any talk of just paving it. So I asked Craig to give me a quote based on current costs and it's $123,000. It's not cheap. But if you want to consider it when you do the maintenance facility all at the same time. And I'm not looking for direction now. I just provided a conceptual cost estimate for consideration when you do the building and the sidewalk work, you want to tackle that at the same time. So,
Oh, so that'd be this side.
yes, on the other side.
Okay.
This one's already paved.
Yep.
That's where everybody parks with their kids and does all the parties. And it's a continued mess.
Oh, I know it's a mess when it rains. I know, I live here.
All right, to the resident concern brought up earlier with Village Trail, understanding we only own the portion that is behind the neighborhood, Jay, I think it is,
Enclave.
Enclave, and the excuse me. That the netting is under sod, that's on the pipeline, so that's all not owned by the CDD. But I'm asking because that trail and Butterfly and some of the other trails are established with the PD, with the county, and with the interactions you've had with the county lately, and whether it's something we can do as a board or something that we can give feedback to residents that does the county have it's in terms of enforcing the hazardous condition that has been created there, right? This trail that is supposed to exist as a, pathway between the different communities within the PD. What are your thoughts on, is that something that the county would have any interest in? Well, some interest is a wrong word, but from your point of view, what do you think should be done?
All right, I missed the beginning. So what is the hazard right now that exists?
So where they ran the water pipeline over the actual village trail through developer property, they put sod over top of it, and I guess there's some kind of like construction netting that was, but whether it was just a runoff or what, but it's become.
Where's Billy's Trail?
It's just here.
No, I'm
past the-
I'm referring,
Oh, So that's the
and I don't think
CDD
it's- yeah,
portion.
And it's, for the residents here, I don't think any of it is the portion that's behind the Enclave neighborhood.
No.
The part.
No.
To the wooded area.
Yeah. So CDD goes to here and then this is Billy's Trail and this is where the netting is.
This is where they put water.
Yeah, but it's not CDD property.
It's, right, well, I understand that, the CDD,
What,
the CDD does own the approach to it, the property that's behind.
Everything from
And-
yeah, clearly everything
5
inside
Oaks
the dotted
Drive.
line.
Right, exactly. Everything
But if
here.
it's outside the dotted line,
I understand that.
But
the
residents in the community are tripping on it, so.
but it's,
Right, and I
but if it's
understand
out,
that.
if it's outside the dotted line,
I understand there's nothing, we have no way, even if it's inside, inside the dotted line, we don't have, enforcement authority, but we have, people here tonight that could, if people are asking the question and people here might be able to give the answer, without taking more than 5 minutes of the meeting's time. I think it would be the residents' interest to ask what David's thoughts are.
So I think I saw two different things there. The one that looks like almost like a fishnet.
Yeah.
Is when they bring the sod out there, instead of cutting it in pallets and putting it down, they roll it up. So it keeps the dirt from, but they, a lot of times don't pull it off like they're supposed to, and it stays there, and we're having this problem in Winter Springs where they actually got in the stormwater pond and clogged the structure and caused the berm to fail. So that should have been properly removed. The orange stuff should have definitely been removed when they got done with the construction. Whether the county or Lake Tahoe Water Authority, if they did the line, need to get with the contractor or and just simply tell them to go back out there and clean up the mess they left. Whether you want me to draft a quick little email.
We'll do that. We'll have the district manager do that.
Okay.
Yep, and if they need any support from you, they.
Just quite honestly, I got Tahoe went out there after the fact and the contractor just left, and just like a lot of times they leave the silt fences in, that's supposed to be pulled out and,
Right.
removed. In fact, the Enclave had it out there for too long. So yeah, just to run over to Tahoe and find out who their contractor is and have them come back out there and clean it up, so.
is the enclave fully done?
Yes,
Is it age restricted?
no. Only only South Lake and East Lake. I'm not sure whether they're gonna do that for North Lake or not. Still called North Lake, so it may be.
And does does,
West Lake is the enclave.
yeah, I know. Does Westlake still have access to the clubhouse, their clubhouse?
No. Only the over 55.
So basically their clubhouse is gonna fail.
Well, they still have.
Cool, we need a clubhouse.
they still have those two.
plus. It can't be a town, it's 55 plus.
I fully understand, but you're not gonna have enough bodies to cover your costs.
Well, that's not a CDD.
I know, that's true. That's true. Where to have these meetings is,
Discussion regarding the verbiage modifications. Do you want to cover that while you're sitting up here? The verbiage modifications?
The thing you fixed, the grading. The verge is the sod between the
Right.
curb and gutter.
Okay,
Yeah, Jorge had told me that he actually graded down that one area. The
okay.
water was ponding and it seems to be working.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
cool,
Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Watch your head.
District Council,
Kate, you're up.
Hi, yes, good evening, everyone. So we have included a spending authorization in the agenda to coincide with the updated procurement policies that we've included as a red line in agenda. And I believe Mike circulated those to the board prior to tonight's meeting. And I just wanted to note that upon further review, we saw that we may need some clarification from the board regarding the person who should be responsible for approving expenditures below $500. And so what we're asking today is for the board to provide comment on that issue and then provide us any other comments. And then we can make those changes and bring this back to the board in January. So we're not asking for approval of this resolution today, but just consideration and for comment.
so today, who can approve under 500?
District manager, I think. Or is it?
Carol,
Yes.
it's Angel. I'm sorry. Yes, currently it's the district manager.
And what does the district manager wish to do?
We would like to raise that amount if possible, so we can not hinder coming back to the board and continue work. And whatever the board's pleasure is in raising that amount to, I mean, even if it's $1,000, as long as we go through the due process, get multiple bids and all of those things. 500 is just such a small amount that the district manager can approve. We have to bring everything else to the board.
I think what Kate is trying to point out, and correct me if I'm incorrect, Kate, if I misunderstand, is that the procurement policy starts at $500, not at zero. So the gap is between $0 and $500, and actually they've taken the amounts in the procurement policy and brought them from it was $2,500, $500 to $2,500, and it brought them up to $5,000. And then the other tiers are higher than that. But it looks to me like the question is, who makes the decision between 0 and 500? Did I get that right, Kate?
Exactly. So because we did raise the other amounts, Angel, so that in between 500 and 5,000, the requester and the district manager can confer and select vendor, and it doesn't have to be brought to the board. But upon further review, looking at the resolution, there was just a slight, we went through and we drafted the resolution to coincide as the best we could with the updated procurement policies. And there was just a discrepancy about who, in the resolution, it says the property manager is going to be the one approving for under 500. And in the procurement policies, it gives either field operations manager, district manager, chair. So we're just looking for direction from the board. Do you want it to be the property manager? Do you want it to be the district manager or the property manager? It's up to you, whatever would make the most, the most efficient and
What do you
effective
mean
for
by
the board.
property manager?
I have the same question. I don't think we have a property
Yeah.
manager. We have a field services,
Mhm.
field services people, and we have a district manager. So, but I don't think we have a property manager here.
So, well, like field
No, it'd be
services
district
would
manager.
be,
I'm sorry, say that again?
so field
We just
services,
request it would be
Sorry,
Angel, go.
go ahead, Angel. Hey there, Angel. Breaking up. Can't hear you. All right, let's go with Kate.
I think, I think what Angel was saying is that she would request it to be the district manager for under 500, and then
Yes.
and then I'm right. And then you could coincide with Jorge or whoever you needed to, right? You could confer and do all that.
yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
So on page, the top of page 5 of the draft, kind of red line draft or, revised draft, under A, it should be procurement for service or product between 0 and 4999.99. Yeah? Is that what we're talking about?
No, I think what they're asking is, what do we do under 500?
Right, so actually, if you look at page 4, and if you look at number 1, under procurement procedures, it says, the district's need for a service is identified by the board, field services manager, district engineer, or the DM. And then if the board is the entity that identifies the need, the board will assign either the district manager, district engineer, or field services manager to serve as the requester as appropriate. If you're fine with that, we can actually just make the resolution fit that. Because right now, if you go down to the resolution, it states that the property manager is going to be the only person that can approve under 500, and property manager, we just mean to say it's the same thing in our mind as field operations. So, but if you're okay with just making it the district manager, we can adjust the procurement policies and the resolution for the board to assign the district manager.
I'm a little confused. Taken to the extreme, this could mean the guy taking the truck down to fill up with gas needs approval to put gas in the tank. If you go down to zero, makes no sense to me. A service or product, the need for a service or product. Gas is a product that you put in a car, or in this case, a truck, to make it go. Why in the world would we wish to have procurement procedures that go down to zero? Makes no sense.
Well, I think you can say that, I mean, the board actually identified that need when you do your annual budget.
So this procurement procedure was already in place. If less than $500.
Yes.
Requester may purchase the service or product if the service or product meets a need of a district. So that's pretty clear under A here, first sentence. Although quotes are not required, prices should be compared to be sure that the best value is being obtained. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, so what do we need to change?
Well, then, so we go, actually, Kate, is that sufficient because we already have that in place? Or is it that on page 5 at the top, we need to clarify something there or?
No, it's still, it's still on page 4 and this on the actual spending resolution. So instead of what we'll do and what I think, and just if I'm wrong, just please let me know. The non-continuing expenses not exceeding $500, we're just going to change that from property manager to district manager. And I think that would solve the inconsistency and then also do what the board desires as well as your district manager.
So I'm looking at page 6. Is that the page we're talking about of the resolution?
We're actually looking at page 2 of the resolution. And it's it's number 1 where it says non-continuing expenses not exceeding 500 with approval of the property manager.
Okay, so it just needs to say district manager.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Lucas. Hey Kate, thanks for breaking all that down. But I think there's some misunderstanding of procurement, what that actually means. It means you're actually buying a service or product and you're relaying that to the community. It's not expense like getting gas. It's different. So I want to make sure we understand the difference between one of our associates going to get gas or buying something instead of procuring an item that we have to get approved by the district manager.
You're absolutely correct, Lucas.
Okay.
That is 100% accurate.
So my legal question is, where is the term procurement defined in the document?
The dictionary.
That doesn't count. Contracts are contracts.
Well, I'm sure it's somewhere, but
if what you're saying is true, then procurement needs to be a defined term. And I mean, think about all the documents that actually govern how this place was originally set up. They start with page after page of definitions. So, you know, procurement, I mean, you procure gas.
No, we don't procure gas. Gas, actually, that's procured by the oil companies. We purchase it, and we would procure a item like a new truck or a lawnmower or something along those lines. That would cost more than $500. We would not procure gasoline. We don't do that.
Well, perhaps we need a better definition of right in the beginning about what we're talking about then.
Yeah, because then you could say that the car companies who manufacture the car are doing the procurement of everything needed to purchase the truck or car or whatever. I don't know, you know, this is, you know, Mark brings up a good point and Lucas brings up a good point that there's a lack of understanding about what procurement means and how it affects things like going to buy gas or water for the field services guys or, you know, anything like that.
And we can work on, we can work on that get a definition and send it out to the board too prior to the January meeting.
Kate,
Any,
I think the intent of the procurement policy that was established were for projects. I guess what was going on previously were we were not getting multiple bids. This goes way back. And in order to stop that, a procurement policy was put into place for pump motors, things of that nature, things that were big, large expenses, and we were getting multiple bids so we could compare, not just going with one bid. So that was what the intent of this procurement policy was made when the ex-chair originally brought this up. It's not for small purchases. It's not for anything. It's just to make sure that more than one bid was taken. That was my understanding when this was set into place.
Right, and I remember this was a standard procurement package that was brought to us by our district council, and they modified it to make it work for us. And I think we were going to review it and vote on these changes. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Correct.
So it sounds like what's going to happen next is that Kate is going to talk with Mike and they're going to revise this a bit so that things are more clear. And then you'll come back to us next month with the revised document. Is that right?
Exactly. And if you had any other suggestions for us, we'll be happy to include them and get it all set for approval in January.
Okay, we can move on. Somebody's breathing.
What are we exactly asking the district council to provide us different from what they've shown us here?
Actually, it was the district council's question to us.
No, because you wanted to understand what procurement means. So if they put the definition in there, is that acceptable? I mean, there's a list of things that they can put in there, which shows you what's procurement items and what's not.
Yeah,
but there's going to be things outside of that they're not going to be able to encapsulate. And if it's outside of that, then they won't be able to purchase it. So
that's true.
So what are you asking for, Chairman? I want to know a clear definition of what you want our district council to modify to this document.
Well, to make it clear what we're talking about, for the district manager to get involved in making a decision to buy something for under 500. I mean, I'm not really thinking about something that costs 400, but I mean, in day to day, I mean, I'm sure our guys have to go out and go to Ace Hardware or go to Home Depot and pick something up. You know, that's normal.
So I don't think you understand what Angel's telling you. This does not affect what they do on the day-to-day basis. They have credit cards which they purchase without approval to do the things they need to do, which makes the world go round. So this is talking about procuring items and services over $500. It's not the day-to-day stuff that they do every day.
No.
So what do you want?
The question was for under 500. There's no question about over 500. No one's.
I understand that, but you brought up gasoline for trucks that they need to do their work. So what, like I said, going back, detailed list, you need to provide them what you want in this document updated, because they've gone out and modified this document to provide to us.
Lucas, the question we got from council was, what do they want us to do under 500? That's this whole discussion. There's no discussion over 500. That was taken care of when I think we all agree. And they asked for guidance under 500.
They did not ask you guidance for you asked to provide items list.
Can we just state that anything under 500, district manager and field operations will work together if it's an item that needs to be done? Gas is not one of them, obviously. It's anything under 500. We work closely with field anyway, so we are in the know. That's all it is. That's really just change it to district manager, and I think you should be all set.
I'll make a
Okay, that-
motion to accept that if we can make a motion.
I think we're waiting for them to, they weren't looking for a vote on it tonight. They were just presenting it. And then they're gonna come back to us next time with a revised version that we can have maybe a little more time to look at than we did this time. And then we can vote at the next meeting. There's no rush on this.
So we're just gonna bypass my motion.
I'll second the motion.
What was your motion?
What Angel said.
I think the motion was to change the resolution for the district manager to be able to approve expenditures under $500 instead of the property manager.
Yep, that's it.
That is correct.
Okay, call for the question. Any more discussion?
I mean, do we need a motion to modify this thing that we're going to vote for and consider adopting on January 25th?
No, I don't believe we do, because they were just looking for direction as to how to write something that they will then submit to us and we'll make a decision.
But Lucas made a motion to approve this, did he not?
To approve
The resolution.
I did.
I'm sorry, was it, wait, you made a motion to approve the resolution or?
No, just,
Wait, I'm asking Lucas what his motion was. Was
I
your
made
motion
I
to
made
approve?
a motion to approve this document with Angel's comments, which Kate just highlighted. If she can repeat them, I think Angel's probably captured them or somebody else has, but it's just letting the district manager approve procurement items under $500. Is that correct?
So Lucas, there's a resolution and we want to know, bless you, we want to know if your motion is to approve resolution 2024-06 with that revision, or you're just suggesting that the district council change the wording and bring it back, and then we actually approve the resolution next meeting. So which is that? Which is it that what's your motion about?
Well, if we have to break it into two separate parts, that's fine. But I wanted to approve this document with updated verbiage, so I guess they'll have to go back and fix it so we can vote on it next time.
that is correct.
So then we don't need a motion because we're just requesting a revision to the document and we'll actually vote on the document next time. Did I get that right? Are we all on the same page?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
correct. Well, my initial goal was just to get confirmed from the chairman what we need to update, because I don't think it was clear earlier. So that's all I got right now.
Does our lawyer feel it's clear now?
Yes, it's clear. We'll bring it back. In January for the board's approval.
All right. Lucas, can I ask you to withdraw your motion?
Yes, I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Any other comments on this issue? Does district council have any other items?
No, I have nothing further to report, but happy to answer any questions.
I simply wanted to point out one thing. I had a telephone meeting with district council last Friday. They mentioned one issue, and that was enclave streetlights. And apparently they've come to us to ask us to sort of take over. And it sounds to me like they did the old scam with OUC of entering into a lease agreement on streetlights. And I simply pointed out to council at the time that it was the policy of this board that we don't pay for streetlights. We don't pay for new streetlights. And I wanted to make sure that that was probably pretty clearly understood. So everybody's aware of that, right?
Aren't those streets owned by the HOA?
Yeah, but in the enclave, Apparently it was apparently the developer signed the contract with OUC. And the developers come
Right,
to us,
but I don't-
builders come to us and said, oh, would you please take this over?
I don't know that we have taken over. That's actually, it's a question for Angel. Or have we taken over streetlight, maintenance costs on the Enclave streetlights?
Not to my knowledge. I think that's what Kate, I'm not sure if Mike has brought you up to speed. I think Mike, that's something he was working on. Because Mr. Chairman is correct. They tried to kind of slip it in and want us to go ahead and change over. The streetlights are installed, but they want us to start assuming the electrical costs. But they have not physically turned those over to the district yet. And I don't know if it's the Enclave, Carol. I'm not sure if the tract, I'm driving and I don't have it in front of me. Kate, I don't know if you have it in front of you, what tract it is, but I want to say K for some reason, but that could be incorrect.
I think it is K.
Okay.
So.
And
Yes, and so the latest is that, you know, they haven't physically turned that over to us yet. And so that's why that we're in a holding pattern with that.
No problem. I simply wanted to bring it up and highlight that it was an issue and that it was an issue that we thought we put to bed many, many years ago when I was on the board before.
Typically when the developer's done installing them, obviously if they are the CDD's responsibility, once they're all installed, they will do a turnover to the district, and then we would assume electrical cost and get those turned over from the developer into the district's name. That is typically what happens. Right now, we're working on track K, but they have not turned those over properly yet. And I think that's what Mike and Kate are working on now.
Very good. Thank you.
I do have one question for Kate, which is about the garden shed. Is it the garden shed, right? We were trying to work out the contract with them, and they refused to give us a date by which it would be installed. And we said, I think at the last meeting, we gave district council, I think it was Mike, sort of board consensus that we could move ahead without requiring that language, because I remember looking at the Better Business Bureau's rating, it was like an A- for that particular company. And so I wanted to know what the update is on getting that contract signed by the contractor.
So yes, Mike had sent that over to your district manager, and I'm not sure if they have signed.
No, it has not been signed. I followed up with them yesterday and today. It has still not been signed, and I have not got a response back. I know there were some other things that they were talking about too, Kate, if you remember E-Verify and adding the district as additional insured. And I know they had some questions about that language, but I think Mike and Kate revised it. So we sent it over and we have not gotten a signed copy back. I've left 2 messages yesterday and today asking where we were on that, and I have not got a response, and I'll be doing the same tomorrow as well, following up.
Thank you, Angel.
Sure.
Any other questions for
District
our
council,
district council?
not at this time.
Thank you very much then.
Thank you.
Moving on, district manager Infomark.
Hi, board. The next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 25th. Behind page 115 is going to be the engagement letter from Burger Tombs. This is who handles your audit. So we would just need approval from the board to move forward.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Yes, can I, pardon me, we do just ask that this be approved subject to final review by district council and our final sign off. we've looked it over and just saw some things that, we'd like, to address with the auditor.
Would you like to amend your motion?
Well,
Can you elaborate, Kate?
Sure. I mean, it's pretty typical, honestly, and the auditor, your audit Ground Associates, we actually have worked with them on several districts, and it's pretty typical, and it's pretty typical provisions that we ask them to include or remove, and it's essential things for the protection of the district. For instance, like we want them to include, they're required to follow public records laws. And I had sent some comments, and one of the things, for instance, there's something in the letter that only we asked them to strike the word significant from their summarizing the terms of the significant terms of the engagement, which just like provides just some wiggle room that we that we would like them to remove. It's really just in order to protect the district. And I will say that they're usually really amenable to making our changes.
so the reason I was hesitating to amend my motion was because we've dealt with this company. They've sent us letters before. We've engaged with them multiple times. It's all been fine. And I know that one of the things that you wanted to do was to, and Lucas wants to do, is to kind of streamline what we're doing. We already have sizable bills from our attorney. This is going to be another attorney fee. And so
Basically, is this the same letter that we agreed on last year?
Yes, it is.
And
And every year
thank
before
you very much for your comments, but call for the question.
I don't know. Oh, we do have a second, right?
Yes, we
Dan
do.
seconded it. Thank you, Kate, but I think we're going to, I'm just, the whole thing that happened with the garden shed, I'm feeling a little gun shy about.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. So I've called for the question. All those in favor? Any opposed?
I have do we ever talk about comments, right? Or isn't that the second question?
Right.
Don't you, after someone makes a motion, someone seconds, you have any comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were doing that, but if you have
Oh.
comments, please make them. Thank you.
Well, I just want to kind of highlight, we just talked about this procurement document for 15, 20 minutes, and then we're just going to go up and sign after our council told us that we should probably wait for them to review it. So just kind of, throwing it out there why we're just kind of proving stuff here left and right after we just had a conversation about our procurement procedures.
Well,
The difference, sorry.
Okay, yeah, well, we asked council to elaborate, and we, having worked with this, firm for our audit, numerous years in the past, and hearing from district management, that it's essentially the same that we, engaged with and were audited last year. We, at least I took all that information into consideration in making the vote just now.
Yeah. If we're going to codify something like a procurement policy as a resolution rather than just as a policy, that's a different matter than approving an engagement letter from a company that we've done business with, who sends us the same engagement letter every year, and we've never had a problem. It's a different ball of wax.
Okay, I just wanted to hear everyone's comment there. Thank you.
And Lucas, do we have your vote? Yes or no?
Yes, I'll approve it.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show that the motion passes five unanimously. What do we have next? Do we have anything else from the district manager?
As you all know, Angel was not able to be here in person. My name is Jennifer Holden. I am the regional director now of the Central Region. This is Yari Villarubia. Sorry, I just tripped over your name. She is an assistant district manager and will be assisting Angel on the district. So you'll hear a a lot of things will come from her. She'll do a lot of the follow-up, but her and Angel will work hand in hand on the district, and Angel will be back at your next board meeting. We are diligently working on getting your project board up to date so that we can start rolling that out to you guys. Yari's been working a lot behind the scenes. She'll be here tomorrow with the team to tour the property and look over those items, and then we'll get all of that updated and out to the board. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for myself or Angel or?
He's gone. Sorry. I'm sorry, you were saying what?
Oh, I was just asking if anybody had any additional questions.
Yes. Let's see. The first one was last month, we talked about the district manager contacting Harmony West CDD because they had had a speed camera and display a couple of months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And somebody from the district management's office was supposed to follow up with Harmony West CDD to find out how they made that happen.
Okay.
And I don't hear anything a month later. It was in the minutes, and I'm not sure why it wasn't followed up on. There were a number of things in the minutes that were not followed up on, and this is one of them. So I don't know if, I know that Lynn Hayes was the one who was at the meeting last time, and maybe because he's now, I think, do I understand correctly, Angel? He's no longer with Infomark?
Yes, you are correct, Carol, and I am talking to Daniel Rahm at Harmony West to see what they went through, what procedures, and I'm going to follow suit. And then I will email the board in the morning. He's gathering that information for me. And yes, you're absolutely correct. It should have been disseminated to the board at this meeting, even actually earlier, and it wasn't. And I am in discussions with Daniel Rahm, which is the district manager for Harmony West.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is, and I emailed you about this, but we talked about the rules changes. And, you know, I thought we were going to have them, but I mean, obviously we can wait till January. It's not anything, you know, it's just that it was in the minutes that we would be provided with the rule changes within a week and a half after last meeting. So I'm just bringing it up. And what I'm doing is when I read through the minutes, I'm making notes. And if there are follow-ups, I want to make sure they're followed up. So I don't.
Yep, you're correct.
No, it's not my job to do that. It's your job. But because things aren't being followed up, I want to make sure to bring it to district management's attention.
Yep, you're correct. I've gone through, highlighted everything. There's some things that I need legal to look over first, and then I'm going to disseminate. And you're correct. They should have been to you a week and a half after your last meeting, as was stated. It was going to be done, and it was not. So yes, you will have them before your January meeting. I'm sending them over to Mike and Kate to look at a couple of things procedural wise, being that you had a different council when these rules were updated. The last update, I believe, was 2020. Or it might have actually been 2019. So as soon as she or Mike looks at a couple of things, then I will send them out to the board.
Thank you. One last thing, which I don't see on the agenda, is that Live Oak versus Post Oak, because I know there was a resident, we tabled it from the last meeting. And so it should be discussed so that we don't make this resident wait another month. They wanted to put in a Post Oak versus a Live Oak. I don't remember what the address is. It didn't show up on our agenda, so I just didn't have time to look at last month's agenda to see what the address is.
6994 Bluestem.
Thank you, Joe.
I have it on a post-it note on the kitchen counter.
Ah, okay. I don't know if that's something that was it brought to the board for discussion and we tabled it? Is that something we need to discuss under business items?
Yes, or you can discuss it now. It's your choice. Essentially, it's a board decision. If I'm not mistaken, and I wasn't at the meeting, and but I believe they're requesting to just change what you have as one tree and they're wanting to go with a different tree. So that would be a board decision to allow them to do that.
So basically they're asking for permission to remove the CDD's tree and put in a replacement tree at their cost.
That is my understanding.
don't have a problem
I
with
think
that.
we need clarification to make sure that the resident isn't asking the CDD to remove the existing tree and purchase and install a new tree. I think. we need-
Yes, and I agree.
So can you please, district management, check into that? Thank you.
Can we also ask our arborist or whoever the expert is, because I was told that the post oak would not do well here.
Yeah.
And I don't. know.
Yeah.
And that is true, Carol. Whoever stated that, I did
Yeah.
check with Brett when it came up, and that's exactly right. They will not do well in this environment.
All right, well, there goes that.
Cool. Any
All
other
right, that's it.
questions for the district manager?
Yeah, I know we had, maybe some email issues. I am still waiting apparently. I don't know if the archive was going to be provided like as like a file drop that we can then go through, or if it was supposed to be integrated into the Outlook, use a new password. Still not.
Yeah, if you're not seeing it, no, I think Mrs. Castle reported that she was not getting Harmony emails. The rest of you appeared to be, so that was a separate issue. If you're not, anyone who's not seeing that archive folder at the bottom of your, however it looks, you should see an archive folder off to the left or wherever your folders are. That's all your old emails. If you're not seeing that, please let me know. I know Dan's not seeing it. And we're going to download from Microsoft all of your old ones on a thumb drive and give it each to you. I just don't know who has the archive and who doesn't besides Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I see the archive, it's empty, so.
I'm sorry?
I see the archive, but it's empty. There's nothing older than March 22 there, so.
Okay, so yours, we're already starting getting your download. I just haven't heard from anyone else, so. And Teresa's emails have already been downloaded and we have those in our system.
Hey, Angel, I'll send you an email, so to remind you, I don't have, only thing I have is back from, October, I think one email from Brenda.
Okay, did you get my response today when you said you would join by Zoom?
I did not, I'll do that first before I email you.
Okay,
Just for the record, Angel, Mrs. Castle was my
yes,
mother.
ma'am. I'm sorry. I do that every time and you correct me. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Just a little humor.
I know.
Can I ask one question? So my old emails, am I supposed to put them in archive folder?
No, but you're not supposed to delete them. You can file them however you'd like, but do not delete them.
Yeah. Okay, because I made folders to put them in, so I've got.
Yep.
Okay,
That's perfect, as long as you don't delete anything.
I might have accidentally deleted something today, but.
Oh, gosh, you're in trouble now. You should have never said that.
I can't find it. I can't find it. I was gonna ask Dan about it after the meeting, just as a technical question, so, all right, thank you.
You may have a deleted folder that you can.
And
fill.
do we have any other questions for the district manager?
No, sir.
No. Shall we move on? Business items, consideration of a resolution recognizing Marilyn Ashmore.
I move to approve resolution 2024-02.
I second that motion.
And let me be the first vote, aye.
Well, do we have any?
Wait, discussion.
Yes. Do we have any discussion?
No,
There being none.
Wait, Lucas, I heard Lucas, did you say yes or
no,
no?
I just said no, just to,
Is it?
no discussion on my side.
I do. She's awesome.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Uh-oh.
By
Sorry.
unanimous approval.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn, for all your service to the community.
We have a proposal from Solitude Lake Management for Pond 5. Does anyone have any comments?
Yes, is this pond 5 or is this, now David mentioned that this was like a contract for a
Yes.
quarterly service for a number of ponds.
This is not it.
Oh, this is not it.
So you hired Solitude a couple months ago to do cattail removal for 5 ponds on the golf course for $9,950. Now they're proposing to do 1 pond for $7,000. I can recommend approval. Inside, talk to them about why the big jump in price.
Move to table this proposal from Solitude Lake
You
Management.
don't need to make a movement to table.
What we usually do.
Well, but, okay, we will table this until you get back, until
So I talked to them about.
until the district engineer gets back to us. I gotta remember how to begin that thing. Consent agendas.
No, we still have,
We've done them.
Mhm.
what about the verge modifications?
We did that. That's why they're all checked.
Did we discuss verge modifications?
Yeah.
I talked about the one that was done. I'm not sure if there's more.
Yeah, okay, I think we're talking about we had a request from the HROA, with, I guess, 2 years ago now, we ceased landscaping of the verges that the CBD owns. But you still have, residents wanting to do things like, put, pavers or ground cover or something like that. Yes, and
I do remember.
and we had, I'm trying to remember, there was some direction last week.
The direction we got was that we shouldn't allow permanent structures, but if someone wanted to put in a structure that could be removed, as in paving stones, for example, that we should probably say, yeah, that's fine.
My only question is what happens where there are sprinkler heads?
Because we do still irrigate those.
Yes.
So.
That's a good point.
So I guess with us doing this process of reviewing our rules, do we need to be mindful of this? Does this get to the level in our rules that if a resident wants to do something to their CBD irrigated and owned but not CBD maintained verge, that here are the guidelines, whether it's contact the district manager to make sure there's not an irrigation conflict, or how do we want to address this? Is the question.
So if we want to address this in the rules, that's an if, we also need to address what happens with CDD on trees.
And just for edification, if you already did, as the chairman stated, say that they could put a non-permanent structure, so it really would not interfere because there would be no digging or anything with CDD irrigation. Obviously, they need to be mindful of putting anything on top of a sprinkler head, but other than that, they would not, with not being able to do permanent structures, it wouldn't interfere with the CDD irrigation.
So I guess my only question is, is that assume, or do we need to codify that?
No, if they put pavers down, they can do irrigation.
Yeah, it's on top of the ground. There's no permanent. They can be picked up just as quick as they were put down. Nothing permanent, which would mean digging, anything that cannot be just picked up and removed would be a non-permanent structure.
Well, pavers, I mean, you can, you got a little bit of dirt to.
And grass, so you may.
You're with pavers, you're still gonna level the line.
And you're probably gonna hit irrigation heads, if nothing else. And then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you have to, they would be responsible for fixing them.
What happens when the irrigation goes on and the sprinkler heads can't come up? I don't know.
Or something needs to be maintained
on
that property that they now.
Well, given that my next door neighbor has actually dug up their verge already, I'm not sure what they're putting in, but trust me, it's something that we really need to address and have clear communication with the community about.
Well, also, though, there are so many that the tree roots they just are so unsightly because grass won't grow there, et cetera. So I think, you know, we probably should make some allowances, but maybe it has to be on an approval basis. Could we go to something like that?
Maybe like guidelines
You-
for what we think is okay, and then if there's something outside of that we've already laid out, whether it's thin pavers or
Yeah.
cover plants or whatever,
Or
if they want something different.
You could do what we do in another district and it's just an easy form. I can send it over to you all. And anything that they want to do in there, they just submit a form to the district and then it comes before and the district, you know, just says yes or no. But it's a detailed plan of what they plan to change in that area. You can go that route as well.
Does that involve them agreeing that anything that happens to it, if we have to make a repair, is on them?
We can put that language in there if that's what the board wants, absolutely.
Well, I think that would be prudent.
And we need to do that with the trees too. And you know, thank you, Angel, for addressing that because, you know, here we are talking about it and we're like, what do we do? What do we do? Well, let's ask the district manager who deals with lots of CDDs where they're probably having the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, we can, I can pull the form that we use in another district, let you see it, and let's see how we want to modify it. And then if we have to put any legal language in there, we can do that, which this one already has in there as well. And you can look at it, we can revise it as needed, as you see fit.
Can you do the same or include not just verge modifications, but any tree trimming on?
Sure.
Yeah. In the same verge area?
And
Excuse me.
Absolutely.
You want people to fill out a form to trim their trees?
The CDD trees, yeah.
No,
Well,
Well, the reason they're bringing that, well, the reason they're bringing that up is because there's been several instances where residents have gone out and literally almost butchered trees. I think that's why that's coming up, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Dr. Castle?
That's why I'm saying it, because we have even on Schoolhouse Road, right down the street from you, we've had several trees that have just been shaved right, you know, on one side because people don't want them anywhere near their houses and they want more sun on their houses. And the trees have been, now the trees are growing like, you know, like this kind of, and there are a couple of other areas where that's happened in the CDD as well.
my only question, going back to having this form, do we think there's room for maybe some basic guidelines where if it's maybe a lower impact, modification that they want to do, that maybe there's some level that the board is comfortable with, you know, not burdening with.
We can modify the forms however the board wants. We can put as strict of guidelines in there. We can do as minimal modifications. It's whatever you see fit. You'll see the form and we can revise it to whatever the board comes to a decision on, and it'll be two separate forms, two separate issues. One for modifications to the verge and one for trees in the verge, which the CDD maintains to a degree.
I think what you really need is guidelines, because number one, let's not forget that we have 0.0 power of enforcement. So, you know, the HOA can fine them if they don't fill out a form and do something. Right. We can't do nothing. We can whistle in the wind. So I think what we really just need are common sense guidelines for people, because, you know, we can't enforce anything.
As the HOA that, you know, Karen Grissom brought the issue up to the CDD. So it was, you know, the HOA from a position of being able to enforce, looking for, like you said, guidelines. So I think that's all.
Yeah, I think we're just looking at guidelines.
But if they have to fill out a form, then they'll read.
Right.
Because otherwise they're not gonna look at the guidelines, I don't.
That's a very fair point. That's
And
a very
it's-
good point.
This isn't gonna be a huge deal, it's gonna be a simple form, and the main thing that I'm concerned with is that they agree that if we have to remove it to get to repair irrigation, that's on them and not on us.
True, but the only way for us to enforce that is to sue them.
Well, sometimes though, saying something ahead of time.
No, I understand.
With good people, it'll work.
Yep.
Let's put it that way. And most of the people are good.
You just want it in writing that they know they're responsible
Right,
to put it
right,
back, that
yeah.
the district won't be putting it back.
Let's dot our i's and cross our t's.
Yep. And that's all it is.
Yeah, okay.
We're moving on.
Moving on, minutes from last month's meeting. Any comments, questions?
Yes, well, usually what we do with the consent agenda is before we can make a motion, I'm just gonna say that I move to, I have a couple of questions and then I want to move to approve if the questions are answered. Then that we approve the whole consent agenda, all 3 items, unless there's a question.
Oh, we can do that. That
Yeah.
works. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes?
Well, if we have a motion, I'll second.
No, we don't have a motion yet.
I have some questions
Okay.
before I make the motion. I'm gonna make the motion, but before I make the motion, I want my questions answered.
She's trying to do a 3 for 1.
So first of all, I sent some revisions to Angel and Brenda. The minutes were very well done. Thank you so much. There were only a few minor revisions, so do the minutes in the agenda reflect those changes? Angel, do you know?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, because I did not have time to check. And then financial statements, I didn't have any questions about that, but I did have a question about just a couple of the invoices. One was the FedEx invoice for $92.43. I didn't see an address associated with that. It was just one, looked like one shipment.
Mm-hmm.
The refund for the lady for the parking.
No, this is a FedEx bill that was in our invoices for $92.43 on page 24 of the invoices.
Yes, Carol, I've already asked Paula to give me, because there's no address on it. It doesn't say a customer, because usually the FedEx will reflect like a trustee payment or something like that that needed to be sent out. I didn't find that in there, which typically it'll state who it's to. So I've already asked Paula. I should have that answer in the morning.
So should I exclude that from my motion?
I would.
Okay, and then the only other thing was the Infomark $360.50 for recording fees. Can you explain that?
Yes, so back whenever this was all decided, you all wanted verbatim minutes, because typically we don't do verbatim minutes. It was $250, but anything over a 3-hour meeting is an extra $100, and that meeting went to 4 hours or whatever it was. And I can send you all the contract that states that if you like, so you have it for your records.
No, sorry, it's fine. I just didn't know what recording fees referred to.
Oh, sorry, that's the minutes. That's additional, because typically your minutes are done administratively in your administrative costs, but being that Harmony wants verbatim minutes, it was agreed upon as that extra charge.
Okay, thank you. So move to approve. Sorry, go ahead.
Do any other supervisors have any comments on the
Consent agenda.
minutes, financial statements, or check register? Lucas, any comments?
No, I'm good here. Thanks.
Okay.
Move to approve the consent agenda for this month, December 2023, accepting a FedEx invoice for $92.43.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I like doing 3 for 1. That works pretty well. Okay. You can teach an old dog new tricks. Okay, supervisor requests. Do we have any supervisor requests? I think Lucas, you said you had one?
Yeah, just a quick one. I mentioned it at the beginning. And Dave mentioned it, our district engineer, about the ponds. There's one on the 12th hole, which is behind Middlebrook. I have a neighbor, Jerry Mick, who they can't see the pond anymore because of the cattails growing up so high. He requests that they get maintained. So I'd just like to see if we can take care of that. It's a very small pond. It's nothing like the one on the 2nd hole or any of the other ponds that we take care of. So that's my only request.
So-
And that should be directed to,
Well, I have a question first,
Oh, yeah.
before we direct it. So that pond, we don't have our landscaper here, and I don't remember what our contract says about mowing the ponds on the golf course versus on CDD property. I don't know if we are obligated to mow down to the water's edge. Because it's, do you know?
Well, I was gonna say that neighborhood, those properties abut the golf course property. We do not have a CD buffer in that case.
So,
So, no, so your question, I say is valid, that I don't know with our landscaping agreement, if it's a golf course pond, yeah.
right. that
They
we're-
don't.
I'm
They do
sorry,
not.
They do not what, Angel?
They're golf course ponds, so we do not maintain those. The landscaper does not mow those.
Sorry, Lucas. Sorry, Jerry, Mick.
So the request is, can we take care of that? It's not on the golf course per se. It's behind the golf hole on a par 3, which buds up back to the edge of the properties of the homes.
That's golf preserve property all the way to the home. So we, the CDD, we don't own anything. So I mean, without an easement onto the golf course property for landscaping maintenance, I don't know that there's anything we can do really.
David, the cattails that we're removing now, aren't those on golf course ponds?
Yep.
That the district's paying for?
Yep.
So that bond.
What?
Tomorrow, so. I'll look at it,
What?
I'll look at it, let you guys know.
yeah, it seems to me that it's the same issue. If we do it where it's visible, we should be doing it. If we do it where tons of people can see it, we should also do it where only a few people can see it.
Sure. If you're saying this is 12 hole, that should have been done already by Solitude, so I'll have to look at that tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
also that, in order to maintain property that doesn't belong to the CDD, we need an interlocal agreement with the property owner.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's within the CDD boundary, and as far as, stormwater, all that maintenance that we are required to do, yeah, so I guess we have to ask about getting an easement.
Did we do an agreement to? do
No.
5?
No, David said he wants to ask them questions and he's gonna come back to us next time.
No. but
Well, to
my
be
point-
honest though,
Didn't we
Mark,
already do this?
if you really want to know, the golf preserve management company has begged us to mow those areas for them, so we incur the costs. Mike has come to me personally and asked me for us to take care of that. So yes, we've done properties that are not ours. That's why I'm asking for one small pond to get taken care of for a resident here in Harmony.
And I did notice, going through the approved budget, that we seem to be now charging the golf course for O&M. And we never did that before. If we're charging them for O&M, then I think we should be saying, yeah, let's figure out. I'm not sure how you guys came up with this number for O&M, but they are paying for operations and maintenance now. So they're paying for it, so maybe we should be doing it.
Lucas, we'll look at it tomorrow, but that should have been one of the 5 ponds that were already done, so the overlooked area, we'll get back with them.
Thank you, Dave. And Angel, if you could just remind to just copy me on that email if Dave can send it out to me, just so I can forward that to the resident here.
Sure, I'll send it out to the entire board once Dave sends it to me.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any other supervisor requests?
Move to adjourn the meeting? Joe?
I move, I second your motion, but I would like to amend it to add and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and I'll see you in January.
Very good.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Holidays.
Oh,
One more thing.
Oh,
I'm sorry, wait, we've already adjourned the meeting.
Well, no, we did vote to adjourn.
We didn't vote to adjourn. Joe had a quick question.
Well, it's not a question. I think that FedEx charge for $92 was something the corporate office sent to Jorge. Some documents.
Yeah.
I still,
What,
I
$95
still-
to send a credit card? No.
yeah, no, I need to look into that. And if that's the case for a credit card, I'll have it reversed immediately.
All in favor?
Oh, all those in favor?
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, guys. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Christmas.
Oh, sure.
So I'm gonna hand this to you so that you can follow up on, ask the district manager to follow up on